So you told me like you are having some basic idea of Windows servers and DHCP and DNS, right?
Yep.
So could you please explain what is the Active Directory server and why we use it?
Active Directory basically a database. We
Mm-hmm.
store all kind of user attributes such as like information about the users,
Mm-hmm.
their attributes such as their email address or like what I would say, all kind of information, their contact information. Like then we have groups, organization units
Mm-hmm.
where we can apply the group policies.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of things. Basically,
And
it's a,
what is the benefit of that?
what instead of maintaining
Mm-hmm.
users and user computers individually,
Mm-hmm.
we can manage centrally everything.
Right,
That
right.
makes our life everything we can manage centrally.
We can manage all the user accounts and computers centrally with a single console. That is a
Console, yeah, exactly,
benefit,
yes.
right? So, and what is DSCP and DNS?
DHCP basically, like every computer need an IP address
Right.
in order to communicate with other hosts within the network.
Mm-hmm.
So what we can do, we can manually assign the IP addresses for each
Right.
subnet, but
Mm-hmm.
that is going to be a nightmare for the administrators. So basically, what a DHCP server will do,
Mm-hmm.
it will assign the IP addresses.
Right.
Um,
And on which principle DSCP is working?
um, no, I don't know what principle means.
What is the working functionality for the DSCP server? Means if DSCP server, you have configured one DSCP server in your infra, right?
Yeah,
And when users are connecting their laptop or desktop into the LAN, right? Or with the
yes.
network port. So on which principle DSCP allocates the IP addresses to the end user?
On lease basis.
Right. Lease is a different thing. Means once IP address is allocated to the endpoint, right? So that
Yeah,
IP address, it may be on like for 8 days lease period or 5 days lease period, right? It's
yeah, it
totally up to the
depends. Yeah.
company policy. Have you
Yes.
ever heard about the DORA process in DSCP?
Yeah, yeah. That is communication based. Yes.
Yeah, that is the principle,
First,
na? DORA, right?
okay. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, discover, offer, then
Request and
request.
acknowledge.
Right, right. And what is DNS? Why we are using that?
DNS basically domain name system. Like if computers, they understand only the IP address, but as a human being, it is really difficult for us to
Mm-hmm.
remember those IP addresses. So what DNS will do,
Mm-hmm.
once we type in the domain name,
Mm-hmm.
a request will go to the DNS server.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what DNS server will do, it will convert into the respective IP address.
Means it will simply convert host name into the IP and IP
IP
into the host
address.
name, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And if I asked you to update one DNS record in the DNS server, can you do that?
yeah, yes,
Means you have idea on that part, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So now coming to the point,
Okay.
do you have any idea so far what is Citrix and how it works?
To be honest, what I don't have very in-depth knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
but what I can tell you,
Mm-hmm.
it is basically a virtual desktop. Once I get into that Citrix workspace, I can see two things.
Mm-hmm.
Like Citrix desktops, virtual desktops and virtual apps, and we can access those things from there instead of directly from our desktop. That's what I know.
Okay, so basically when it comes to the Citrix, so the basic definition of Citrix, it is a company which is located like headquarters in US, Florida, and it is most
Okay.
popular for the two products in virtualization, right? So the
Yeah.
popular products are GenApp and Gen Desktop. Formerly, those products were known as the GenApp and Gen Desktop, but now the guys renamed their products to Citrix Virtual Apps and Citrix Virtual Desktop after the release of version 7.xx. Okay, so for
Okay.
older guys, for me, like we still used to like Janap and Jan desktop only, but for newcomers right now it's virtual application and virtual desktop. The older name was
Oh,
Gen app and Gen desktop. Okay.
oh, okay, okay.
So if someone asks you what is Gen desktop and what is virtual desktop, both are the same thing. Okay.
Same thing. Okay,
So this is a basic definition. That's it.
okay.
And if you want to explore more basic definition, you can Google it. But you must know what is Citrix and why it is popular and what are the top player.
Yeah,
So the top player are Gen app and Gen desktop. That's it. You must know
yeah,
that thing. Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Now coming to the infra part, like what kind of components are there into a data center, right? So as you can see, can you guess what is that? And if you have any idea or overview on that part, can you just try to explain in your own words?
What I'm aware is
Mm-hmm,
firewalls. Yes, I can know. Like user devices, I believe that end user devices
mm-hmm,
where users will access their apps and desktops.
mm-hmm,
Citrix gateway, probably it's kind of a connector, I guess.
mm-hmm.
Storefront, when our engineers were talking, I what I've heard is like how we access from the user device. You from user devices, we put a link.
Storefront, it is a web page for end user. That's it.
Okay, right.
Okay. Because when you have to access your virtual machine, you must have to enter some web address over the web browser, right? So
Yeah,
storefront, it is a web page or the landing page for the user.
okay.
And after that, what user have to do? User must have to enter some valid credentials, right?
Okay.
And those valid credentials, uh, that query directly goes to the Active Directory server. Why? Because Active Directory server is responsible for user authentication, right?
Yeah, okay.
And after that, uh, Mayur, just explain that thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Start from the left hand side from end user device.
Uh, yes. Hello,
Mhm.
everyone. Yeah. The- at the left hand side, what you are looking at is it is the user devices with Citrix Workspace application. This application is installed in our normal PC or the user PC, see, the workspace application. It is installed by their local IT or by themselves. Okay. This is the only thing from where this person will go into, I mean, login. Okay. After login, there is a firewall. There are two firewalls like Citrix Gateway. The example of a firewall is Netscaler, or we can install a SAML or the other authentication objects like
So
Okta.
NetScaler here, it is a NetScaler is a optional thing. It is recommended by the Citrix as a firewall or load balancing, right? But if you having older firewalls in your infra like Cisco firewall or Fortinet firewall, you can use them, right? So that is the optional
Yes,
thing.
yes. So this
Okay,
is just
continue. Mhm.
yeah. The Citrix Gateway is just an authentication process or the firewalls which user needs to go through for the authentication process. And when the authentication is done, he has got the access to log in. It directly goes to the storefront. Storefront is nothing but it is only a web browser where again he'll have to
Not web browser.
web page. Okay,
Yeah.
it is a web page where the user will log in, and as our one of the member in the, I mean, in the meeting, he was telling that he will look up two options over there. That
Mm-hmm.
is, one is desktop and one is application.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, those two options will be seen when he goes inside storefront. Okay, Uh, and from there only he will be able to access either applications, or he'll be he'll get an access to directly go into the desktop. Okay, so he will be I mean, he'll be given an access to directly desktops, and from that desktop he can again go into some softwares. He can use his own softwares from there. Okay, and applications are those applications which are only published for their group, or that his personal use, or for individual user. Okay.
Okay, let me cover this. So The left hand side, it is your end user device or endpoint devices. On the endpoint devices, two applications are must. First one is your web browser, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or Internet Explorer, whatever it is. And second application is Citrix Workspace application, which is responsible to launch the secure session between your virtual machine and your physical machine. And once user got the Citrix Workspace app, so user must have to enter some URL, that is storefront URL, into the web browser. And once user enters the URL, and on next page, on the same page, user will get two options to enter username and password. So once users enter the credentials, then that queries go to the delivery controller. So what is delivery controller? Basically, delivery controller, it is a core component in data center, and it manage all the communications or the traffic coming from the different servers. So once a query reach to the delivery controller, like this particular user has entered some credentials, and delivery controller knows like which server is responsible to authenticate the credentials, right? So in that case, delivery controller automatically forward the query to the Active Directory server. Why? Because Active Directory server is the only server which is responsible for the user credential validation. So once Active Directory server found like credentials are good, then it will forward the query again to the delivery controller. Then delivery controller forward the query to SQL server. Why? To check into the database which application or desktop is published to that particular user. Delivery controller collect the data from the SQL server, and then on the next page it will show user the tiles, the icons for the application or for the desktop. It could be a virtual machine or it could be an application. And once user double click on that icon, uh, user will get one ICA file downloaded with the help of Netscaler, and that ICA file, it will launch with the help of Citrix Workspace application. And once it launch the application, then query directly go to the hypervisor. Why? Because on hypervisor only we have hosted all the application and resources. So once user double click on that tile and launch the application, hypervisor automatically turn on that virtual machine or the application, and it will directly publish to the user with the secure session connected as created by the Citrix Workspace app. And the top three features has nothing to do with end user session. When user launching the session, these are the tools like Studio. It is a management tool for the Citrix administrator to manage the entire data center operations. Director, it is a tool, it is a web based tool to troubleshoot the issues related to the virtual machines, or to monitor the site for hardware utilization or server utilization or any other kind of things. Also, it is responsible for the reporting perspective. Means you have to pull out the report of the for your entire data center for last 2 months or 3 months or 15 days or 10 days. You can pull out the report from the director. And license server, basically it is responsible to allocate the license to the virtual machines. Any query here, guys?
No,
Anyone?
No, sir.
Okay. Coming to the next slide. So in the Citrix, if someone asks you like how many layers are there into a Citrix, so the answer is total 5 layers. First layer is user layer. You have nothing to do with the end user layer. Why? Because your end user devices has been taken care by your local IT team. As a Citrix administrator, you have nothing to do with user endpoint. Okay. If our users are users having older version of Citrix Workspace or older version of any web browser, right, it has been taken care by the local IT team. They will upgrade, or your patching team will upgrade the systems. Okay, you have nothing to do with the user layer. So for an example, like for your information only, in user layer we are having for Citrix side we are having only one component, which is Citrix Workspace, Google Chrome. It is not a component of the Citrix. Okay. So they guys use any web browser, Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, or any available web browser into the market. They can use any web browser, but our core application is Citrix Workspace. Okay. Now coming to the access layer. So access layer, it is a entry barrier for the end user. Means user must have to enter in your infra with access layer only. In access layer, we are having storefront as a web page, and we are having Citrix ADC, that is NetScaler, for a load balancing and for to manage the traffic, right? So in access
Okay.
layer we are having two servers, okay? And in control layer we are having servers which is controlling the data center operations, means delivery controller controlling the data center, domain controller controlling the user authentication and computers, SQL server it is controlling the database, and license server it is allocating the licenses to the end user device. File server is nothing, it is a shared storage or the network storage on which we have to host all the user data, okay? And resource layer is the resource layer is a layer on which we will host all the applications and desktop, and all those layers like access layer, control layer and resource layer, all those layer are hosted on the hypervisor, that is known as the hardware layer. Okay guys,
Okay.
so what is hypervisor?
Hypervisor basically a software
Huh?
which um,
Hypervisor
like
is a software,
I what I would say like it's a where we host our virtual machine basically.
right? So okay guys, do you have any idea what is virtualization? Just forget about the hypervisor. What is virtualization?
Like we have physical machines,
Mm-hmm.
and in the physical machine we have a lot of resources like RAM, hard disk, and all.
Right,
Basically, don't use that capacity to their full extent.
right.
So what we can do, we can create virtual machines, and
Mm-hmm.
we can utilize that whatever unused resources.
Mm-hmm. So basically, with the help of the virtualization, we can use any hardware up to its maximum efficiency. Okay. In
Okay.
ideal world, it should be 100% efficiency, but practically to achieve 100% utilization, it is never possible. We are having some losses as well, right?
Okay.
So the answer is with the help of virtualization, we can utilize any hardware up to its maximum efficiency. Okay, not 100%. Okay, please
Okay.
do remember. So basically what is happening here into the production or into the data centers, we are having some physical servers, but with very good hardware configurations. Means you will get memory of let's suppose memory will be 1000 or 2000 GB, right? Storage will
Mhm.
be in petabytes or terabytes, right? You will get multiple network cards. You will get good graphic card. Okay, so all those comes under the physical server, and on that physical server we will directly install the hypervisor as an operating system. Means just like in your laptop is hardware, and on your laptop you install Windows 10 as a operating system, right? But here in our case, in hypervisor we will install hypervisor as an operating system directly on the physical server. So what are the example of the hypervisor operating system? It's VMware ESXi, Citrix
Okay.
hypervisor and Hyper-V. These are the operating system. Okay,
Okay.
I'm not talking about the VMware Workstation Pro or VirtualBox. Why? Because these are the application. Because in the market we are having two types of hypervisor, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is bare metal hypervisor. In bare metal hypervisor, we can directly install hypervisor as an operating system on the physical hardware, right?
Okay.
And in for type 2 hypervisor, type to install the type 2 hypervisor, we must require an operating system to install that hypervisor as an application. Means VMware Workstation Pro, VirtualBox are the examples of for the type 2 hypervisors. Okay,
Okay.
any doubt?
No.
Okay, coming to the sessions, what I have decided. So first session is the prerequisites and introduction that we are discussing right now. From tomorrow onwards, we will cover with some practicals, and I want
No.
you to ready with your hardware and follow the sessions. And after every class, I will share recording with you guys. So in second session, we will learn how to install and configure the delivery controller and other core components. In the third one, I will let you know how to configure the hypervisor, that is Citrix hypervisor in our case. And in the fourth one, we will create one site, and in In the fifth one, we will create the master image or the golden image. In the sixth one, we will create the machine catalog. So machine catalogs are nothing. These are just a collection of the virtual machine. In the seventh one, we will learn how to create the delivery groups. Means delivery groups are nothing. With the help of delivery groups, we can easily restrict user to specific application or the desktop. We do not want every user to have access to all the resources, right? So with the help of delivery group, we can restrict the user. And in the eighth one, we will configure the storefront server. And in the ninth one, we will test our deployment, what we have done so far. And 10th session, it is for 1 or 2 days or maybe 3 days for troubleshooting and backup perspective in real-time scenarios, right? So those kind of scenarios we will cover. Any doubt here in this categorization?
No.
No, sir.
Okay, coming to the virtual machines that we must have to create. So first server is the domain controller. It is Active Directory server, which is always required. Second server, it is delivery controller, that is Citrix delivery controller. And on that server, we will host all the core component of Citrix like studio, license server, director, or delivery controller, right? All those Citrix components we can configure on that single server. And these two servers are the hypervisors on which we will host our virtual machine. The name I have given to this server is Gen server 01 or 02. You can give name like Citrix hypervisor 01 and 02. And these two machines are our end user machines with Windows 10 operating system. And these machines we will use to test up the deployment. We will install Google Chrome and Citrix Workspace, and this machine will act as a client machine for us to test the deployment, right? So as you can see, my domain is techmtech.com. If you are creating domain controller, you can name any domain whatever you want, okay, your name.com or whatever is feasible for you. So for domain controller, I have allocated 2 GB of RAM. For delivery controller, it's 6 GB. For hypervisor, 10 GB, and 2 GB for the client machine. So in total, uh, the RAM requirement for us, it is 2 plus 6 10 10 and then 2 2. So it is 32 GB of RAM at least required for the smooth operations. So that kind of things you must have to arrange buddy, can you please let me know what is the hardware configuration of for your laptop or desktop, whatever you are using?
16 GB.
16 GB. What is the processor? Okay, let's come to the next slide. So these are the basic requirements that I want from you, like some basic knowledge of Windows Server that you already have. ADDS and DSCP you already know. How to create users and how to join machine into the domain. I hope you know that, right? And
Yeah.
some basic knowledge of DSCP DNS. So that is the primary requirement before we will go to the Citrix, right? And the hardware requirement that I recommend, like 30 32
32
GB.
GB.
Yeah, 32 GB is required for the smooth operation. Somehow we can manage in 20 GB as well, right? But 16 GB we can manage somehow, but operations will be very, very, very slow. Means you once you right click na, then you have to wait for 2 minutes for to get the next options, right? So I will recommend if you can upgrade it to 32 GB, please let me know, right? And if you need
Okay.
some virtual labs, please let me know. I will arrange a lab for you as well, okay? So that is not a
Okay.
big deal that we can discuss offline, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
And the processor, it should be i5 or higher with at least 4 physical cores. And storage, like 512 SSD is fine. I never
Mhm.
recommend to use HDD because on HDD operations are very, very slow.
Very
And
slow. Okay.
yeah, and coming to the software requirements, so software requirements, what I need, Windows Server, just skip Windows Server 2019. Why? Because right now we are having Windows Server double two into the market, right? So I will recommend you to go with the latest one. Okay, so I am removing it. And apart from here, I have to remove that 16 GB as well because it will never work. And like Windows Server 2022 and Windows 10 ISO media. Those ISO media you can easily get from Microsoft official website at free of cost, right? You will get
Yeah.
180 days license at a free of cost. So 180 days are enough to learn, right?
Okay.
So you have to nothing to pay for those things. coming to a Citrix ISO file. So Citrix ISO file like Citrix Virtual App and Desktop ISO, Citrix Hypervisor ISO, and Gen Center application. These files I will share with you. Okay, let me share it now. So basically, where is that drive? So Citrix ISO, let me copy the link and let me share it to you. So what you can do, just click on the link. You will get 3 files over there in this Google Drive. Okay, please download those 3 files in your laptop. Keep one folder in your system by name Citrix. Okay,
Okay.
and we will good to continue. And now coming to the next part, like introduction session is it is almost done. From tomorrow onward we will continue with the practicals. Okay, so whatever the infra you can see here, we will create each and every server separately. Okay, and I will cover each and every topic, like the components you are getting here, studio storefront delivery controller, right? All the components I will schedule a separate sessions for each and every component. Okay, so you have
Okay.
nothing to worry what is director, what is license. So this is just an introduction. I'm just showing you the components, right, on which we have to work. Okay, so that's it. Okay, one more thing that if you can arrange the hardware, if not, please let me know. But if you can, I can give you one task to create one domain controller in your infra. Okay, I hope you can do that. If you need any help in that part, please let me know.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so if you can configure domain controller, please configure the domain controller and create one more machine with Windows Server operating system and make the host name to DDC, like DDC for delivery controller, and join this machine into your domain, whatever you will create your domain. Okay, so that is the only
Okay.
task. Means first you have to create Active Directory server, and one more important thing, on Active Directory server you have to create one more role, that is DSCP scope. Okay,
Mhm. Okay.
if you can't create, please ping me on my WhatsApp. I will help you how to do that. Okay. And from tomorrow onwards, what I need to see your screen and I will deploy the entire things on your personal device. Okay. So that, you know,
Okay.
after the classes, you will be able to, you will have some data center with you for the practice. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, guys. Any query, any concern so far? Anyone?
Now.
Okay, man. So if you have any concern, man, actually, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Right now, I'm getting CSV7YZ I'm not sure what it is.
What is that? My name?
Yeah, your username in the Zoom, it is showing CSV7YX.
Okay. Loyal.
Okay, Loyal is your name, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, we will connect tomorrow morning and means not morning, evening, in my evening. Okay. So, we will connect
Yeah.
tomorrow evening, same time. Okay. Like 8
Right. No.
o'clock.
Thanks.
And
Yeah. Thank you.
if there is any, you know, planned or anything from your side and or from my side on class, you please let me know in advance, or I will also let you know in advance if I have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So accordingly we can manage the session, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No problem.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.